Welcome to the digital program of this year's conference, The Future Is Now. My name is Jamileh Hargreaves and I'm your digital moderator for this series, Conversations with Changemakers. Today we're talking to Luke Kerr from Real-Time Learning about sustainability in STEM education and innovation in industry through engineering. Hi Luke, and welcome to our session, Conversations with Changemakers. It's nice to have you here today.
Hi Jamileh, thanks for having us.
So I just wanted to get to learn a little bit more about real-time learning and capacity building in STEM. Can you tell us exactly what real-time learning does?
Yeah, look, it's a program we've developed to help build capacity in both teachers and students. And so we do that through also partnering schools with industry and with universities.
Fantastic, important stuff, definitely, for the future of kids' education as well as industry partnerships.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to learn more about what is your Adopt an Engineer program? What does that look like in schools?
Yeah, maybe if I just share how we morphed into Adopt an Engineer.
Sure.
So my background's mainstream education, and I wanted to see kids have an opportunity to develop these real skills, these real skills for the future. And when we started that program, we started to see the need for students to have these STEM skills, which many people are now saying 75% of our workforce require these skills. So we started working with industry and running workshops for students, and we were starting with very young students in grade 5 through to grade 8. We believe that if you're going to do this, you've got to start much earlier in the journey than we are currently. So engaging kids in STEM. What we saw was that we were reaching students that had already identified or self-identified that STEM was important to them. What we wanted to do was be able to, and what the schools were asking us to do, was to say, how do we bring this back into our school? And so the question was, how do we bring these undergraduates that are teaching your students in workshops, how do we bring them back into our school? So that's when I coined the phrase Adopt an Engineer. And so we then started piloting in a school where we had a student who was studying engineering who would go in and spend a day a week all year working with the teacher and the students. And so that's what we mean by building capacity in teachers and students, by actually having the undergraduate engineer who brings the technical capability and then is able to then impart that in a way where they learn to improve their communication skills, but the teachers and the kids benefit from their passion and drive for STEM.
That's fantastic. So that sort of brings me to my next question. Why is it important for industry to partner with skills-based learning in education?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's the reason why I started Real-Time Learning, because what I could see was it was almost like we were doing education and industry in parallel, and there wasn't enough crossover. And so what we've really sought to do is become this conduit. And we also recognize, and industry's saying that they perceive it to be a skills gap. They're saying, we want to see the kids coming out with the skills they need for the future. The other statistic out there is that there's many jobs disappearing. And so we're needing to know what it is that we need to teach our kids. So being in collaboration with industry helps us deliver a more timely and relevant curriculum to our kids.
Yeah, that's all really important. Getting the skills for the future in our education systems today to ensure that we've got that workforce of the future as well. Yep. So can you tell me a little bit more about the engineers that you work with that are undergrads? What sort of skills do they learn about being in the real-time learning programs? And how do you find working with this young talent from our top universities?
Yeah, look, we really stumbled on this. When we first started the program at Bosch, at their head office, we thought it would be industry mentors that would be teaching the kids. But they had a really creative and innovative internship program, which saw many undergrads working in at Bosch. And so they got involved in the program. And one, it was their passion and their desire to want to work in a program and volunteer in a program like this that stood out. They were really good at connecting, with the kids. And so building up, relationships and being role models to these kids that, were thinking about a career in STEM. And at the same time, what it was doing for the undergraduates, like we do for our students, is we were focusing on those human skills. How do we work in teams? How do we go around solving problems? Remaining curious about where is this all headed? And so what we've seen in our undergrads that have been working with us for a number of years now is that it's giving them a point of difference, because they're not just graduating with a degree now, but they're graduating with real experience, real world experience. And, they've learned how to be better communicators. They've learned how to take something that's very complex and teach that to a 12-year-old. It's really good training for them to be going out into the world and having to communicate these complex ideas to people that maybe aren't engineers.
Yeah, definitely. It's very important for engineers to be able to communicate their ideas, and also to be able to foster that ambition within young engineers. Kids that maybe you're only in year 8 now, but they can see a future and a pathway in engineering from that mentorships that they're getting. So in that process, how would you say that real-time learning encourages more girls to be involved in STEM and IT?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And so one of the things that we did right from the start when we started at Bosch was we formed a partnership with RoboGirls at Monash. And so RoboGirls were largely about getting more girls into STEM. And, it was really about having really strong female role models in our workshops. And so what we aim to do now is to try to make sure that we have an equal representation of both women and men on STEM, replicating that and representing that to the students. Then when we're also interviewing our students, and our students who want to be involved in workshops need to put an application in and go through an interview process, we also started bringing our students onto the selection panel and getting them to see the importance of diversity, and so, not just hoping it happens, but making sure that we really do seek to make sure that we are, diverse in the teams that we build.
Yeah, definitely important, especially when you're collaborating and building, technology, having that influence of women in the room or girls in the room is really important. And also to see, grade 5 and 6 girls be able to be mentored by female engineers is just fantastic.
Yeah, and
so
I was just going to add, sorry.
Yeah, go
one of
for
the
it.
things that when we started up real-time learning and running the workshops out of Bosch, they started a program in parallel called Learn at Bosch. And so they did their own independent research around, engaging students in STEM. And the research that they came across was that if an 11-year-old girl wasn't into STEM, by the time she hits 14, if she had an interest when she was 11, if she doesn't get engaged by the age of 14, we lose that girl to STEM. So also how it's really critical that we engage girls much earlier in the piece.
Yeah, and what would you say would be the purpose driving real-time learning?
Well, purpose is a great word, because one of the reasons I started real-time learning was helping kids connect with their purpose, to connect with their passion. As an educator, one of my frustrations was that we had kids going through the system who really hadn't connected with that. And so they were just focused on potentially getting a score and not really focused on what is it I want to do with my life. So real-time learning was about, essentially it was about helping kids connect with their purpose and their passion. Now, we see STEM and it's apt that we're talking about the future of now, because it is now. Technology is disrupting every space, work, social, how we interact. And so we just saw that it was going to be a great platform to be able to integrate into students' passions. So it's about putting students' passion alongside STEM, alongside computational thinking.
And so what are some of the events that you help facilitate as a part of working with kids in STEM?
Yeah, so that's a big part of it as well. It's not just, running workshops, but it's about that broader network. So it's about schools collaborating with one another. It's about industries being able to have an opportunity to collaborate with a number of schools at once. We've also been involved in things like Future of Work summits. there's other, other pathways like, and competitions like FIRST robotics, having kids, being able to know what's out there and how they can connect is a large part of the role we play. It's about that network.
Yeah, definitely. Building that network and enabling students to thrive within that network is important.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about what's a hackathon?
It's I love the concept of a hackathon, because I think when it first came out, it was really an event that was designed more for people that were coders. But I see it far more broadly now as it's about bringing people with different talents to the table, different lived experience to the table, to look at solving a problem and doing it in a rapid prototyping style. So it means over a short period of time, you focus on a complex or a wicked problem, something that hasn't got an easy fix, and you bring as many minds to the table that are from different backgrounds to engage with that problem. And so the hack is really hacking and coming up with a solution to that idea in a very quick amount of time.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when it comes to like the concept of sustainability and upskilling, what do you see about the workforce of the future, and what do you see as real-time learning's role with that upskilling of the workforce of the future?
Yeah, so I think when we first landed on the idea that it was really about building capacity in both teachers and students in STEM, but now it's broader than that. It's about for a more sustainable future, and we only have to look at what's happened, through this pandemic, and when we see some of the things that have happened to the climate, when we've actually not, when we've given it a chance to recover, rejuvenate, and so I think what we're interested now is how do we use technology, to create for a more sustainable future. We've only got one planet, as a friend of mine in Ireland says, and it's really important that we look at how we be best stewards of that planet. And I think one of the things that we've learned out of the pandemic is to lean on the data, to lean on what is the science telling us. And so more than ever, there's been a shift away from it just being about an economic proposition to one around health and one around science. And so that's what I'm excited by, is that now we are really taking data on more seriously in a way that really helps inform the decision making around a better future.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear all the fantastic work you're doing with real-time learning. Where can we find more access to what you're doing, and if people want to collaborate or reach out, where can they find you?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Twitter. Probably go to the website, Real-Time Learning Australia. It's rtlaustralia.com. On there, you'll see our blog. You can reach out to us. We'd love you to be part of our network and to join in that collaboration and that collective work that we're doing. That's why we love to be at events like Future is Now, because it really is now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Luke. It's been so lovely chatting with you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And good luck with the rest of the conference.
Thank you. And that was Luke Kerr from Real-Time Learning. You've been listening to Conversations with Changemakers. It's a part of Moral Fairground's 2021 digital conference, The Future is Now, presented by RMIT and Melbourne University and sponsored by PwC. We aim to bring you impact-driven leaders in social enterprise, ethical business, and sustainability. We hope you've enjoyed today's session, and we look forward to hearing more from you about how we can collaborate for a more community-driven and sustainable future.